You know, for Hercules to lose his powers, you got to go there eventually. I mean, somewhere in the series, when you get a show that's running as long as it did, you've got to sort of, I mean, hell, they made me a pig, you know, one episode. So you've got to do something, and I don't mean the typical bar pig, you know, but it was, you know, it was fun to sort of play somebody that still thought, you know, for a moment he sort of forgets. He marched right in there because he still has this hero thing in him, you know. He wants to do good. He wants to help people.
There's another enforcer at Hera's temple. Worse than before. She's after you.
The interesting thing about Hercules, for the most part, the censors never had a problem, except there were no censors because it's syndicated television. It would be the individual stations that would complain, and what they complained about once was they could see the crack in Aeolus's bum in something, and we had to cover that up. But otherwise, there wasn't really. We were our own guides until an executive picked up the phone and would say, if you do that, M&Ms will pull out, or some kid-friendly advertiser will pull out on you, and then we would address it. But certainly within our office and within the writing staff, that opening, we were always worried about would turn off the audience the second they tuned in, that we would lose them with showing such an ugly event. And of course the ugly event eventually won, but it was a big, how do we do this gracefully? And so whether we accomplished that or not, I don't know, but it was certainly a much debated item as to how do we show that, because you need your teaser, and now it's all set up, and how do we prevent that from happening, which Herc couldn't, unfortunately.
Herc, wait! Don't you ever doubt me again. I may not have all my strength, but I'm not some helpless, impotent old man who can't fight his own battles.
And now he's lost the strength of 100 men. You know, it's completely gone. I think who was beaten? Wasn't it Strife throwing me around or something? Yeah, Joel Toback loved that.
Yeah.
He goes, finally, you know, and it was fun just to play a little bit different character, and that's what I had to deal with. I had to deal with the fact that I was now just a mere mortal, but you know, he did it all for love.
You know, as a kid, when I used to watch TV and you'd watch Happy Days, and then you'd see the Happy Days people on Laverne and Shirley, or anytime those things happen, I always loved it. So from a pure audience point of view and audience retention between the two shows, I always thought it was a real strength to do as many crossovers as you could. Schedule-wise, it became very difficult because both shows are shooting and they've got to do their 22 Hercs and 22 Xenas and 24, whatever we were doing within a season. So it was a time commitment, but boy, I've always enjoyed that. And in hindsight, I wish we could have done more. We tried our best. They just said, we don't want to pay for any more crossovers, and made it much more difficult to accomplish those, saying, hey, we'd like you to cross over, but we can only pay you $500 or something. So once you're asking for favors, you're in trouble. But they were something that I always thought was a real plus.
He must love her very much.
He did.
Did?
Serena, his wife, she's dead. And the townspeople think he did it.
Serena.
Well, from terms of performing, it's great. I always loved it because we got to fool around, you know, we kind of, hey, what do you do? You know, that's the process. How's it, you know, I mean, it was, I always loved it. And working with Lucy and Renee was always, I loved it. It's a funny one, though. They can either be as complex or as simple as you like, crossover episodes.
Right.
You could run into, I mean, imagine a fully intertwining series. You could go there, you know. I mean, something interesting about how far they could go was the different worlds, because the Xenaverse was different. So I'd be, you know, you can only, I imagine only certain stories could work.
That's right.
You know, so.
And be remembered throughout history, not as a fighter for justice, but as a wife killer.